the Yidden's, the whole world is dependent upon the Yidden, and they first of all add to the kiyum of the world, they add to the existence of the world. And not only that, just that they, first of all, they make the world exist, because it's only because of the Yidden doing Torah mitzvahs that the world continually exists. Then we say that they add to the world a level of amidah, that they make it stronger, they strengthen it. They cause the level that is concealed in the world, or godliness that's concealed, to become revealed, so they're adding to it. And then, this is the idea that they reveal the malchus, the kingship of Hashem in the world. That's the level having to do, connected with Rosh Hashanah. And then the Rebbe is going to add now an even a more, a greater thing that they give. And the Rebbe is going to connect this all with the beginning of the Maimer of Havaya Hamarta Hayoim, Havaya Hamircha, says Anila Doidi V'Doidi Li, the level also having to do with learning Torah, that we're making Hashem speak, and Hashem is speaking through us. But anyway, like I said, we're holding the third page, page 533, second paragraph. Amram Gam Avodah Zu, also this avodah, the avodah of the Yidden, through their making Hashem a king over the world, they reveal aspects of godliness in the world, etc. It's not in a way of a complete chiddush and novelty and bringing something completely new to the table that wasn't there before. Not like we said before, in truth, the word of Hashem that creates everything is constantly and always standing in the entire chain order of descent. What's the novelty? What's the uniqueness? What did the Yidden bring to the table? Instead of the way it was prior to this, the avoid in the way of world. And world, we said, is concealed and covered. So the avodah misgalda, through the avodah becomes revealed. But it's not something new. It's just revealing something that was there before. But in truth, there's in the power of the avodah of Yidden to affect even higher. Not only those hamshachas that are already existing, that they are dependent upon the Yidden, and not only do they come out to a revealed state, which is the two things that I mentioned before, that Yidden accomplished through their avodah. In addition to this, the entire existence of matters above is dependent upon Yidden. Not only that the Yidden are the ones that reveal it, in addition to this, the entire existence of matters above are dependent upon Yidden. Like the teaching in the Zikr Magida, what the Chazal say, know what is higher than you. So that is the simple taich in the words Pirkei Avos. Just be aware that there's some being, there's Hashem that's above you. But the Zikr Magid's famous explanation is everything that there is above comes from you. Adam, through the person. So it's not just that we solidify and we reveal, we actually create things above. Indian and explanation of this matter, this will be understood according to what's explained in many places concerning Rosh Hashanah. Then all matters return to their earlier state. They return to their root and their source in Hashem's very essence. This means that on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, on the moment before the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, or Rosh Hashanah at night, everything that was brought into being to be able to make this world returns to its source. It leaves its process of giving life to the world and returns back to its source. And therefore they don't exist. And also the idea of Hashem's kingship above is also, metaphorically speaking, non-existence. Because there's no king without a nation. So if the whole Seder is Talshus and everything ceases to exist, so therefore there's no call for and no application of kingship. It's explained in detail in the Siddur of the Mittler Rebbe. That's the famous fat Siddur. It says Siddur im Dach. And over there, he writes over there in Lahavnin Tkiyas Shofar, according to understand the idea of Tkiyas Shofar according to the intentions of the Baal Shem Tov, which is a mimer which the Rebbe brings down. Baal Tekeh should learn the morning of Rosh Hashanah in preparation for Tkiyas. That's brought down over there, that idea how there's no Seder Ishtalshlus, it's all gone, and there's no Malchus of the Eibishter at all, until the Yidden bring that again into being. When Nimtza comes out, the effect of the Yidden through their service is to draw down from anew the delight of above. This means the inner delight. In Seder Ishtalshlus, the highest level is the delight. Because Hashem has delight, just like by us, because we enjoy something that brings us to do things. So first comes the delight. And following, bringing about and drawing down on Rosh Hashanah Hashem's innermost delight, which is what we do when we blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah. So the result of that is the will of Hashem becomes now manifest again, his innermost will. Upnimius Chachma Bina, and the inner level of Chachma Bina, because that results afterwards. Once you have the will, so then you can have Seder Ishtalshlus, which begins with Chachma Bina of Atzilus. And then following that, Upnimius Shivas Yimei Habinyan. Then you have, top of the next page, the inner power, the inner life force of the 7 days of the building, meaning the 7 midas, which are responsible for Sheish Yimei Bereishis or Shabbos Bereishis. It's responsible for the 6 days of creation and the Shabbos of creation. And lastly, until it's drawn down here into this low world to make for an Eibishter a home down here below. Derech Agav, the emphasis on Pnimius the whole time over here is because in fact the world does exist. So how does the world exist when there's the Histalkus HaChayis on the eve of Rosh Hashanah or on the night of Rosh Hashanah? The reason for this is that the Histalkus HaChayis is only in the Pnimius. The external level of all the spheres, the external level of Malchus and Zoh and Chabad and Rotzen and Tainug is still there, and the Pnimius is what leaves. And Chassidus brings an example. It's like a person that's exhausted, that does things in a faint or in a very exhausted manner. So, but for the continuation of the world, we are drawing down again on every Rosh Hashanah. We are drawing down a new revitalized delight, the inner delight, and the inner will, and the inner Chachma Bina, and the inner midas to be able to give the chayas to this physical world. So, second line from the top of the page, he says, "Kivan sham shachazu iberosh Hashanah, shenikra Rosh Hashanah v'leitchils Hashanah." Since this drawing down is in Rosh Hashanah, that's called Rosh Hashanah. It's not called the beginning of the year, mishum shukam ha'rosh hakoil chayes kol ha'avodim, because like the head that includes the life force and vitality of all the limbs and organs, V'gam manhigam kfi she'em b'mkoimam u'malosam madrigosam. He also leads them and directs them as they are in their place and in their quality and their level. Meaning, there are two aspects to the idea that Rosh Hashanah is called the head and not the beginning. So in a head, there's two ideas. One thing is that the head includes in it koilol chayes kol ha'evarim, that before the life comes out and the energy comes out in the hand and in the eye and in the toe, all of those aspects of the neshama that function in the different parts of the body, all of those things are included and part of the brain. That's step one of the head's relationship to the rest of the body. Another component of the head's relationship to the rest of the body is that once the power of sight, and once the power of walking, and once the power of writing comes out of the head into the different limbs and organs of the body, so then the head is still in charge of them. And the head directs them and runs them according to the wishes and desires that the head has. So therefore, being that it's not just that Rosh Hashanah, that day of Rosh Hashanah, has in it all the rest of the days and the energy for the rest of the year in it, but also what's going to happen the rest of the day is directed by Rosh Hashanah. Let's see it inside. How they move that's understood from this. On every single day of the days of the year. It's drawn down and it's felt how Rosh Hashanah is what is running the day of the year in Gimel Cheshvan and Yud Adar and in Chav Tammuz. All of these things are directed by Rosh Hashanah. In what way are they directed by Rosh Hashanah? In what way does Rosh Hashanah run them? Hainu Kabbalas Oil Malchus Shamayim Shabayim. Rosh Hashanah is about accepting Hashem as king, accepting the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. So that acceptance of Hashem as king manifests itself in the day-to-day throughout the rest of the year as well. That's what means that Rosh Hashanah, like the head, runs the entire year. Same thing, Rosh Hashanah runs a Chav Tammuz, because the Kabbalah Soil Chav Tammuz is derived from and directed from the Kabbalah Soil that we had at Rosh Hashanah. The Rebbe goes on to say, not just in the way of being a dictator, but also in the way of kingship. And kingship means by choice, that the citizens, that the nation wants to have him as a king. Like it says, the expression that his kingship with will, they out of their own will, they accepted upon themselves. It's not just an external will, but it's the innermost will of the person, and the innermost delight is behind their accepting of Hashem as king. And where does this all begin? We don't wait till Rosh Hashanah. This begins now. This begins in Elul. This begins in the pasuk that we were speaking about in Parshas Kitzavai. All that is affected through Avodah, that you made Havaya, Hamarta, speak, I am to my beloved. As it's known, that the preparation for Rosh Hashanah is in the month of El. More specifically, this begins from the 18th of Elul, from Kidduh Piskin Kveitis Meiracham Admur. Like it's known, the saying of my father-in-law should be Yud Beis Yom Machrein the Chodesh El, in the 12 latter days of the month of Elul. Mesakn Mes Yud Beis Chodshei Hashanah Sha'avner Avra. We repair the 12 months of the last year. Yom L'Shana, every day is another. Every day of the Rebbe is like playing off an expression. By the Meraglim, it says over there that they were misakin every a year for a day. But here he's playing off like a day for a year, but over here he's saying a day for every month. So this means that the day of Chayel repairs and improves and beautifies and refines and elevates the avoid of the month of Tishrei, of the last month, because of the last year. In other words, the beginning of this year, the month of Tishrei, is connected with Chayel. This understood. Since Chayel is about improving and elevating, refining last Tishrei, so it's also understood that the day of Chayel itself, on which this mimer was said, is about and connected to also the upcoming Tishrei. From all this understood, the advantage and quality of the day of Chayel, and then the day of Chayel, it's the beginning of the preparation for Rosh Hashanah, that in that day of Chayel, we make all the appropriate and good resolutions, and we merit to be inscribed and written and sealed for good, la'alter, immediately in the books of tzaddikim, on all matters of the upcoming year. Okay, second paragraph on the fourth page of the Maimer, page 534. So now the Rebbe is going to connect this idea with the pasuk it's Havaya, and he's going to introduce and bring in different meanings in the word Havaya Hamarta, the different explanations of the word Hamarta, which is a very unusual term. What's the meaning behind it? Be it an explanation of this matter more specifically, more in detail. A pasuk, and this pasuk is Havaya Hamarta Goymer Havaya Mircham Mevaik, what Tzemach Tzedek explains in the Oira Torah, Sheyesh Gimel Pirush, that there's three meanings, three explanations in the word Hamarta and Hamircha. Ha'alef, one meaning is the Hamarta Lashon Reimois V'Shavach She'ein Rechlav Klal. Hamarta is in the word exaltedness and praise, and such a type of exaltedness and praise that there is no comparison to it whatsoever. We're raising up Hashem above and beyond. Kapirish Rashi, Mesach Chagiga, like Rashi explains in Mesach Chagiga. Habei, the second explanation is Hamarta Lashon Levush. It's in the word, from the expression of a garment. Medrash al Pasuk Bitza Imrosi, that he tore his Imrosi, Hainu al Levush, the tearing of a garment. So we see the word Hamarta is related to a garment. Gimel, the third one, is the one that we introduced at the beginning of the Maimer, Hamarta Lashon Miram, from the word saying, speaking, the Koyal Limrat Torah canals, referring to the study of Torah. So the Rebbe is going to bring in all these different things, how they relate to each other and how they're connected. We could say the Gimel Pirushim Elu, these three explanations, it's in a way of going from above to below. Keneged Gimel Einyanim Hanal, in regards to the three ideas that we had before about what we affect in the highest, most levels until it comes down to the lowest. The Indian Hamarta Lashon Shavach Shein Rechlav Klal, the idea of Hamarta is a type of praise of that's incomparably high. It's drawing down from the innermost and essential delight that we spoke about before. The Indian Hamarta Lashon Lavush, and the idea of Hamarta from an expression of a garment, referring to the level of making me a king over you, where we coronate and make Hashem a king of the entire world. What's the connection? Because Malchus connected with the idea of a garment. Like it says, let them bring a garment of a royal garment. It says Hashem dresses himself and garbs himself in the highness of a king. So the the second explanation of Amarta, meaning a garment, is associated with the level of Malchus. And then, if like the Avodas Yisrael Rosh Hashanah, this is affected through the Avodah of Yidna Rosh Hashanah, Shibidugmas Avodas Adam Rishon, Rosh Hashanah Rishon. That what we do on Rosh Hashanah is comparable to and similar to what Adam Rishon did in his first Rosh Hashanah, on the first Friday of creation. Then Adam Rishon said to all the created beings, come, let us bow down and kneel before Hashem our Maker. So Adam Rishon gathered all creations and had them recognize and accept Hashem's kingship. And because of Adam Rishon's doing that on the day that he was created, on the sixth day of creation, therefore, the Shir Shal Yom of Friday, we say this particular kapitel, like it's brought down in Masechtas Tamid, about the Shir Shal Yom of every day. What is the point of this idea of making Hashem a king that takes place on Rosh Hashanah? And this is similar to what took place the first Rosh Hashanah when Adam was created. That the first thing that we said about Hamarta, that we're drawing down the praise and the exaltedness of Hashem, that there's no one like him. It's not in such a way that it remains very high above. Top of the next page, it comes down to the level of Malchus. That Hashem accepts upon himself his being coronated as king. Just like we said earlier, that Malchusei Baratzin Kibla Aleim means that the Yidden accept Hashem's kingship not as like a dictator, Chas v'Shalom, but they want Hashem to be king. In a similar vein, the king, the Eibishter accepting his kingship, is also because he wants to do it, he enjoys it, he delights in the Yidden, Kach Keviyachol, the acceptance of the reign and the kingship of the Eibishter above is in the way of Hashem's will. And it comes down in it, Hashem's innermost will. To such a degree, it comes down later in the idea of Hamarta, according to the third explanation, Lashon Amira, in a way of saying. What's it mean to saying? What is the original time when Hashem said things? That's Basar Amaret Shenibam Nivra Olam. In the 10 utterances that Hashem created the world with them. Shaydei Hamiram Al-Mata, through our saying, like we said before, through our saying down here below, Ayimra Kadosh Baruch Hu Asar Amaras Mechadash, will, it not only is Hashem's will, but there's also not only is our will to have him as king, but Hashem's will as well. Let's read again from the third line from the top. Until it comes down in the idea of Hamarta, according to the third explanation, Lashon Amira, from the word saying. The 10 utterances with which the world was created. Through our saying down here below. So then Hashem says the 10...
Rabbi Bart, you muted yourself. Rabbi Bart, we cannot hear you.
Okay, sorry
you
about
were muted for the past 3-4 minutes.
The internet has... So, that a person is involved in Torah, Mekayim Alma. When a person is involved in Torah, since the 10 utterances correspond to the Aseret Adibros, so when I learn Torah, I am renewing the Asar Amaris. And what happens that when I renew the Asar Amaris, Shenasa Shemayim V'Aretz Chadashim, it becomes a new and a renewed heaven and earth, because since the heaven and earth are dependent upon the Asar, the Aseret Adibros, the Torah that I'm learning. So we have all 3 levels of explanation, one coming from the other. The highest level is that we are tapping into the most exalted level, that's Hamarta. From that, it comes down to the word of Hamarta, from the word levush, a garment that Hashem dresses himself in the garment of kingship. And then, because he dresses himself in the garment of kingship, he manifests himself in the Asar of Amoras. And this is all thanks to our Avodah down here.